What's up, City Skylines fans? I'm Socksway Up, and we're back with episode 2 of Salt River Valley. As you can see, we're getting right into a time lapse. It's going to be a jam-packed episode, but I wanted to start off by thanking everyone for the positive feedback from the first episode. The turnout, the engagement on the video was very encouraging, and I thank everyone who liked it and made comments and chatted with us along the way. Thank you very much for showing up for us. Also, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. We're going to start uploading these videos once a week. The Salt River Valley videos are going to be, I think, every Saturday. We're going to try to release those. And then for those of you that are watching along on our vanilla series on how to get your city started, which has turned into more of a city building playthrough instead of just a starting playthrough, we're going to try to release those once a week as well, probably on Wednesdays moving forward. Also wanted to point out an achievement for the channel. We did hit 200 subscribers after uploading this first video, which was amazing because I feel like it was just a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, when we hit 100. I'm personally blown away by it. I didn't think it would grow to be this when we started this channel and started uploading some of these Let's Play series with City Skylines. I'm enjoying it tremendously as we place down a tree in the wrong spot. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to see in this video. We're building out Evans-Churchill District in Salt River Valley, or I guess Phoenix, Arizona. And later on in the video, we'll get into some more details of that district or neighborhood, of why it's so special and why I wanted to feature it in this series. Right now, we're building out a fire department and detailing around that area. One of the things you may notice right off the bat is that we changed the theme a little bit. I like where this one is now. I think that's where we're gonna stick to it. The grass color, as I mentioned in the last video, was just too green for Arizona, or at least this part of Arizona. So I, pulled that back. It looks like it's struggling to be alive at this point, and that's how I feel like a lot of our grass is. But this is a little area around the freeway that I wanted to detail. We added that fire station for some services, and I think that came out pretty nice in the intro there. But here we're placing down some more tree clusters that I feel like are, we do have a mixed bag of landscaping in Arizona, and we like to transplant other people's trees, other people's plants, and make them our own. And again, I think I mentioned that in the last video, that's pretty commonplace in Phoenix, Arizona. And you can also see here, I was starting to play around with the gravel decal instead of just placing down gravel with surface painter. I tended to have more success with that. And then I also noticed that it's a nice blend, like makes more texture to the base gravel texture, I guess is the word I was looking for. And it makes it stand out more, and it's not just perfectly placed gravel that has a consistent pattern. And that's why I went with that. And I feel like this little corner area turned out pretty nice. Let's talk a little bit about the Evans-Churchill community. When I think about this area of Phoenix, I think of First Fridays, walking around downtown and enjoying like a lot of art galleries, a lot of art museums and street murals. And it really makes me think of pre-pandemic times when people used to gather in large groups and enjoy each other's company and hang out with each other. As you can see in some of those Google Earth screenshots or screen grabs, there's a mixture of low density and mid-rise apartment complexes in this area, and a lot of commercial. So I do my best to build this area into that spirit and to get that feel going. And to that point, I decided in making this episode, I'm no longer going to stress about it being like for like 100%. I just can't. I spent a lot of time on the workshop. I spent a lot of time trying to find buildings that would be perfect for every square block in this area. And in the first video, we did that and we break the mold. I start building things that are about the right size, the right what would fit in this area if we were recreating it for our own, and it turns out good. I'm breaking away from that. It was taking way too long and being way too picky. So this is going to be a city that's inspired by Phoenix, Arizona, and this series is going to play out that way, and I think it still turns out good. We're still going to recreate some of these districts and make the road layout very similar to Phoenix, but like for like buildings is impossible. I started playing around with some 3D modeling tooling and found some models and was working on, watching YouTube videos and how to get them into City Skylines, and it turned into more than a full-time job, to be honest, and I couldn't keep up with it. Yeah, so inspired, not exact. Enough of this talk. Let's start talking about what we're doing here. We're adding in some smaller, these are high dense buildings, but they're smaller residential homes that I think make a nice blend from. This area is a transition from a freeway that slowly transitions into the high-rise skyscrapers of the Phoenix downtown area, and I thought these buildings worked out really nice for it, and that's what we went with. And you can see here more pavement. Getting more comfortable with the pavement tool and figuring out when to use it and when to, build and when to use surface painter. And here in a second, we build a nice barrier with a fence and do some landscaping on the outside of that where there's not going to be any buildings, because we don't jam pack every square block with buildings in the Phoenix downtown area. My struggles with fences continues. If you followed this channel for a while, you know that me and fences, we do not get along, and it's because of situations like this. I'm using Move It to my best of my abilities, finally get it to line up. Sometimes it's the angle and not necessarily the alignment of things, and you have to just adjust the angle of the assets to get them to line up better. And that's what we end up doing here, and we get it pretty close to where we want it. We try it again and finally get satisfied with the outcome of it. I don't know if anybody else struggles with fences as much as I do. They're a necessity, but I can't stand them. And then here we're adding a little bit of trash dumpsters for people to use, and it looks like they got a little carried away with throwing their trash away. So I think that's always a nice little detail to add to areas. And over here we're adding some more parking lots. Again, you can just see a big blend between parking lot buildings and parking lot roads. And here we're starting to build a little smallish apartment complex or condos, I guess, and by blending in these buildings together to make one larger complex. This one I think turns out really nice. I've also installed I think it's called Paint It tool, and now I get to adjust these buildings to all be the same color, and I went with white for these ones. I think it's a great touch. Here we do add one of the smaller pools into the interior of this apartment area, and again, we can see we use the pavement tool there, or the surface painter. We're adding some grills, some barbecue, some more cabanas, and area for people to kind of just hang out and enjoy themselves while they don't have to leave the area of their apartment. Something about this song really makes me not want to talk. But here you can see we're starting to use the grass decal as well instead of just the map themes grass, and I think it works really good for this part of Arizona, and I'm going to continue using that along the way. Little disclaimer here, I don't know if I've seen a cactus with flowers on it in my area, but I thought they looked nice, so we're going with that as we detailed that little area. And here we're adding a little more commercial. This is where we start blending the residential area and commercial to be true to this part of town in Evans Churchill. And along the way, we just get all this filled in as much as possible and keep it going. This one right here, I put a gas station, then I backed up and I was like, gas station's not very realistic there. So then we throw down these smaller commercial buildings that I think make a nice transition. Add a little bit of parking in the exterior area here, or we attempt to. And I've noticed that in this, I've never noticed before driving around Phoenix how much parking there is outside of just parking garages. There's a lot of parking spaces. If they ever really wanted to expand the downtown of Phoenix, we could just put buildings where all those parking lots are and replace them with maybe underground parking. Kind of interesting. I never really realized it as just driving through on my own until I started recreating it in this series. And if you noticed when you were looking at the Google Earth screenshots earlier, a lot of these areas aren't finished. I'm finishing these areas with some landscaping and some details because I felt like it's needed. If I was the city planner of downtown Phoenix, I would be taking these areas that maybe there's plans to develop in them in the future, and that's why they are just dirt fields at the moment. But I would put something in there to make it look a little bit nicer, and that's what we've done in this build. And here's another area where we're playing with the fences. Instead of using the prop tool, I decided to just put them all down myself because of some of the angles here. And I think it turned out, I think it was quicker. I think this was a lot faster of a way for me to do it than to use the prop tool. So I'm figuring out the tricks and how to make this a lot quicker of a process for me. And here we're laying down some planters. We're detailing this parking lot a little bit. We're gonna give it a little more character than just an empty parking lot, which I've noticed around town all the time. You have these nice planters on the ends of the parking lots, and we add some oak trees in there as well. And we also think about putting it on the other side, but then realize that's completely gonna block the sidewalk, so we got to get rid of those. Those have got to go. And here we're just continuing our expansions. This is a corner building that I thought looked really nice with the grass on top of it. I just love this building. I had to use it when I found it on the workshop the other day, and I thought these two buildings look great next to each other with a little bit of space to be able to sneak some parking into the background like that. And this is one of them that I did a little more detailing. Got a little diesel there that's dropping off things to that building. We also add a little bit more parking around the area for these commercial buildings and all these residents to be able to use as a mixed use parking. So this is another asset that I found on the workshop that I felt would fit in these smaller little apartments. It almost looks like a hotel, but these apartments I think look great. And here I actually got the wise idea of using Move It to duplicate some of the decals and to speed up the gravel placing process. And this trick is, I would recommend using it. It saved me a good amount of time and turned out great. Some of the areas I let the spillage that we're fixing there stay, because I thought it looked natural, like somebody was like walking through and kicked some of the gravel onto the sidewalk. And here we're doing a little bit more of our desert landscaping. We're adding in some of these bushes and these trees and getting it going. And one of the things that I did notice after recording this, that we went for a drive out to the Superstition Mountains out in my area. And I was just looking outside and kind of thinking, okay, I'm outside in Phoenix. I'm outside in, well, a suburb of Phoenix. Do we have the color schemes correct on these videos? And I think we're close. I think we're really close. I think one of the things I'm going to try to do in the next video or the next recording session is brighten up the color a little bit. I think some of the landscaping is a little dark and the colors of the plants and the cactuses don't pop as much as I'd want them to. And so that's something that we're going to be doing moving forward. And again, these are some assets that you saw in a previous video, and we're repeating them again. I think they worked really well. This little corner exit here, which I think is 3rd or 4th Avenue, 4th Street. It'd be 3rd or 4th Street, where the road does split apart like that. We just put some nice buildings in there on the curve there, and then there's a parking garage that we do put in here, which again, a lot of these areas with the high density, they have these parking garages blend right into the buildings. And again, I'm assuming that the garage itself has some entrances to the apartment complexes or the high-rise buildings there, or the mid-rise buildings. And that's why we made that path just like blend right into the parking garage as well. And then we do a little bit of landscaping and detailing in this section as well. This building here seemed like it was designed to have one of these parking spaces on top of it, or parking lots on top of it, so we went with it. It fits perfect. It's just like it's meant to be. I enjoyed the way that turned out. And we just, again, keep moving forward. We're adding in a little bit more of these mid-rise. They're not necessarily single family homes, but you got, apartment complexes that just fit the area height wise of the scale of the skyline, and just keep adding in some more detailing and building it along the way. As I was editing this time lapse, I was really tempted to take all of these fence clips out of it, but I think it's enjoyable to watch me struggle personally. And here we're adding some paths to allow people to walk from different areas. And I think one of my concerns was that traffic is going to be a nightmare eventually, and I don't think it's going to be. I think we're going to add, in the upcoming episodes, we are going to get to the light rail in Phoenix, and that's going to help a lot with some of the mass transit. That's going to be very important, I think, to prevent any traffic jams, even though one of the things I've really wanted to do is that the highway that we created the Deck Park Tunnel under is I-10, and traffic is horrible on that freeway. Maybe we do want to recreate a traffic jam. All right, here we're starting kind of the second phase of the Evans Churchill build out. Over here is the southwest side of that neighborhood or district. And here we're just building kind of an area for people to hang out. Eventually there will be light rail stops, I believe, in this area, or trolleys, I guess is what we're gonna have to use. I think this triangle looks really good once all of the buildings are around it. It kind of stands out as a separator of the roads as they go different directions, as that does transfer from a two-way road to a one-way road is what's going on there. And here we're using the same buildings that are across the street, making sure they're all the same color, again, kind of mimicking the setup that we had earlier on the other side. I think in this time lapse specifically is when I finally broke away from staring at Google Earth and trying to make things exactly the same as Phoenix. I knew the spirit, I knew the type of layout that we wanted. We wanted a lot of parking lots, we wanted a lot of mid-rise buildings. We didn't necessarily want any skyscrapers yet, but we did want some open space as well, and that definitely matches the area, and I just kept going at it. Started stumbling on my words, filling in the area with buildings that I thought would look nice, and that's where we're gonna go moving forward, like I mentioned earlier on. And I feel like I'm starting to, I guess, get a feel for playing the game this way. As you've watched my other series, they're very walk through the milestones, unlock things as we go along, and then I kind of unlock everything as we go. I'm getting used to it. You can see the demands are a little out of control, and I'm teaching myself to not care. So this is another building that I wanted to get in there, at least something that looks similar. Next to this parking garage, which we're going to detail a little bit later on in the video, there is this large glass building, I guess medium-sized glass building, and I wanted to make this one stand out a little bit more than the smaller asset that it was. That's why we use the procedural objects. And here we're building a little mixed area where we're adding some commercial, like a bar, a pub, and some other, you know, little tiny shopping centers as well. It really does mix or fit the style of this section of downtown Phoenix, and I'm loving the way it's turning out, and I can't wait till the next episode or the one after that when we actually get to the heart and the meat of downtown Phoenix, and we can just see it all come together, the way it slowly turns into the skyscrapers when you come from the freeway. And then we'll get to the part where we make the I-17 on the other side, I guess on the south side of downtown. And you can just kind of see how we have this interesting loop that wraps around the downtown area to give you a lot of different access points to get to and from downtown Phoenix. And again, we're using the grass decals that look a little dead, and then I was adding in a little bit of the theme grass in there to fill in the area. And we're gonna decorate a little palm trees here because, you know, like I said before, we love our palm trees. Kind of showing off a little mixture of landscaping styles throughout the area of downtown here. We're getting there. Thanks for hanging out so far. This one's running a little bit long. I'm having a hard time narrowing down and picking and choosing which parts of the time lapse to keep in these videos. I'll get better at it as we go on. So this area here, these buildings, I loved. We do have some areas in Phoenix that do have that brick style of a flooring, or concrete, I guess it's flooring. I wouldn't necessarily say that the architecture fits the area, but the color scheme does and the height does, so I went with it. And then here you can see we're adding in a couple more of these small, I think that's an Applebee's there, and we got this auto zone, which I eventually figure out the parking situation a little bit later on as we butt up some of those parking spots a little too close together. But here we get, you know, playing with the pavement tool a little bit more, getting this straight line. Then we're going to add a fence to this eventually and separate it from that other commercial area behind it. And here's that fence there, and I can see, oh, I didn't line it up perfect, so I decided to finish the fence off, and then we come back in later and adjust the pavement to line up to it as well. And one of the things I did here was as I was having trouble with the prop line tool, there was this gap in the fence that I decided actually looked pretty cool, that was allow people to kind of sneak through if they really wanted to. And here we get to some of the detailing of the concrete and the pavement, and I decided to start using these tire markings to kind of show exactly where the traffic is coming in and out. I've seen a lot of other people do this. I think it's sweet. I think it really adds another layer of realism to the city, and that's where we're going to go with that and kind of improve the way we are aging these parking lots out and make them look, you know, it looks real. It looks like somebody's actually been driving on there. And I dig it. I can't believe I went years playing this game without these assets, and there's a fire. Can't be a sock sweep video without a house on fire. Absolutely not. We gotta have it. But again, we're just doing a lot of this staining the concrete, making it look aged, moving this auto zone over to line up the parking spaces, adding a little grass in here and some trees for decoration to top off that area of the city. And here we're moving into my favorite part of the build. Earlier we talked about the art murals or the street murals that are in this area of Phoenix. And so we start adding some of those, and we're using the procedural objects tool here to get the size that we want and start decorating the town a little bit with some of these decals that I found on the workshop that I wish there was more to choose from. I could have spent a little more time getting a better mixture, but I dig the ones that we use. I kind of splatter them around town as we'll do here in this quick little cuts here to show how we've kind of just placed them around in random areas. And when I was looking at Google Earth and when I've driven around this area in real life, they do feel sporadic and random where we have these. And I think we captured the spirit of the area where they are celebrating, and we are celebrating the diversity of Phoenix, Arizona. Like I said in the last video, it's a very diverse city. Arizona is a very diverse state to begin with, so having stuff like this that just stands out in different areas and it lets people express themselves is amazing and is awesome. And it's part of the reason why I wanted to make sure we featured this section of the city on its own video. All right, let's jump into a live play here and kind of just show off what we've done in this episode. I did spend a little bit of time making some improvements to this freeway area. You can see there's different assets that are used that I need to fix right there. In the tunnel area, I got some suggestions on comments on some things to do. And over here you can see where we made changes as well. I think they look a lot cleaner. There's a little bit of adjustments that I still want to do. There's a lot of customization that still needs to be done to the lanes on the highway and also in the whole city. I need to figure out and I don't need to figure it out. I need to take the time to actually do the lane markings and get those complete as we kind of show off the other side of the tunnel there. But here's the area we worked on today. These murals turned out great. I love the way the parking garages looks within on both sides. This other area I think turned out really good. That parking garage sneaks into those apartment complexes pretty well. As we have the day-night cycle turn on, we can start seeing this at night here in a little bit. Got that church going. The fire department, I love building that and some of the detailing around it and the landscaping that we got in here. This area feels complete to me. Here's some more of our graffiti on the walls. Looks pretty sweet. But yeah, I feel like this area feels really complete, and that was the plan that we had in here. There's some detailing right there where there's some dirt still showing. That should be pavement. Probably need to light up that pool area for those citizens there. Here's another one of our little decals that we added. Overall, I really dig the way this turned out. This triangle turned out pretty sweet as well. Got some more graffiti going on there. Yeah, a little bit of lighting, I guess. So that's the takeaway from the live play, is I don't look at this at night very often. I do want to improve the lighting in the areas, maybe add a little more decorations in there. Can kind of see on the back of that brick wall, there's a lot of graffiti. We should have shown this part during the day. Yeah, that didn't, yep, you can kind of see it there. Next time we'll update that in the next video during the day, I think. But yeah, that's kind of a good overview of everything that we've done so far. Again, some areas need to be lit up. It's coming together nice. You can see where the roads are headed. A lot more high-rise buildings coming up soon. Downtown area is going to start popping and get complete, and I need to change the sky. I don't think that we don't have northern lights in Phoenix. But again, yeah, overall, I'm very happy where this is going. It's a lot of work. It's very enjoyable, though, seeing Phoenix come to life, seeing these parking lots start to be full. And I was thinking for a while that we're overdoing it, but it does match the layout of downtown Phoenix, and that's what we're going with. And overall, it's turning out pretty sweet. And yeah, I'm glad I started doing this series. I'm excited to finish downtown and get to some of the suburbs areas. Some of the airport's going to be a blast to make, and I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks everyone for hanging out, especially if you made it this far. I've been kind of thinking about giving a random word for people to say into the comments when they've made it this far in the video. Let's go with chicken head. Just comment chicken head if you made it this far into the video. I think it would be hilarious for people to just see the word chicken head in the comments. But yeah, this is running about 31, almost 32 minutes. I think this is the longest video I've made. It's challenging to narrow down and, you know, eliminate certain shots in the time lapses and pick and choose which ones that I want to use moving forward. But we'll get better at that. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Salt River Valley's coming along nice. It's going to be a slow crawl. We're going to start doing 1 episode a week. So I plan on this series lasting the entire year, if not longer, to see where we go with it. We'll probably halfway through start a different city in Arizona. I'm thinking we're going to do Flagstaff next. We've actually already started working on the color schemes for changing the thumbnails and stuff like that in the background, having fun with that, playing around with the color schemes of Phoenix, Arizona, or with Arizona in general. If you didn't catch on, the thumbnail all the thumbnails have the colors of the Arizona flag. That's what we went with. Thought that was super clever. I'm loving it. Again, thanks for hanging out. I'm Socks Way Up. Can't thank you enough for hanging 31 minutes into a video. Have a great day. Hope to chat with you soon.